the ministers, National Assembly members, in particularly the Select Committee on Health to the chairperson, the local government authorities, political leaders, civil society organizations, businesses, and individuals for contributing in one way or the other in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 is real, contagious, airborne, and deadly. The minister gave some figures, but I want to give an update figure globally. Globally, we have 1,084,015 cases. Out of this, we have 58,163 deaths. The world economic and superpowers are on top. United States of America, 266,750 cases. Deaths, 6,808. Italy, 119,827. Deaths, 14,681. Let me take China, 81,620 cases, 3,222 deaths. UK, 38,168, 3,605 deaths. These are taken to be world superpowers economically and politically. The minister reported that in Gambia, we have 4 cases, 1 death, 2 recovered, and 1 active case. Coming down to Africa, the number keeps on increasing day by day. And our close neighbor, Senegal, over 200 cases, 1 death so far. That means one can conclude it is indeed real. It is in this vein that the government decided to put preventive measures in order to combat the pandemic. And one way of trying to do that is to provide or restrict movements, reasonable restriction on movements, as on the basis to avoid contacts, to ensure social distancing. This is what brought about the idea of having the state of public emergency. But I think, as my learned friend put it, people are trying to misconceive the whole essence of state of public emergency. It is not a lockdown per se, as how we perceive, but rather to provide reasonable restriction of movement and crowding to ensure social distancing and avoidance of contacts, as a advisable way of trying to avoid the spread of the disease. But let's help ourselves not to mislead the people that the state of public emergency is here to put lockdown, that people should be kept at home. No. We have the restriction on open markets and shopping areas, the closure and restriction on non-essential public places, the restriction on public transport, emergency powers, and essential commodities. This restriction, as I said, will merely put reasonable restriction on movements and crowding to guarantee social distancing and avoidance of contacts. That's the best way to contain us at now. If the superpowers cannot fight it, we, the reasonable resources we have, let's utilize that and try to fight and contain. Madam Speaker, this brings me to our very report, and then the report we recommended for the state of public emergency to be reduced to 45 days. There was a question that the minister gave reasons why 45 days, and my learned friend read the portion that the minister did justify why 90 days rather. If I may break that down, for proper planning and organization, and for implementation, immediate, medium, long term, for preventive and precautionary measures to be taken. And finally, to balance the competing political, social, and economic interests. These were the basis and the reason advanced by the minister for the 90 days. If one may look at this, proper planning and organization. Do we need 90 days for the proper planning and organization? That's why if the honorable member for Woolly West has to say that this is exposing the Gambia, I concur with him. At this stage, if we are trying to say that we need 90 days to ensure proper planning and organization, one may question our commitment and determination in the fight. That's not a reasonable reason why we should say we need 90 days. The other part is that to ensure implementation, immediate, medium, and long term for preventive and precautionary measures. All these are part of the planning aspect. Preventive measures, precautionary measures, we need 90 days for that. Should we talk about that? We need 90 days for preventive measures, for precaution measures. That's not justifiable. The last part, to create balance, competing political, social, and economic interests. I think that part is of no important use as far as the state of public emergency is concerned. The bone of consensus is on how to fight and combat. The other things can be secondary. I may take 1 and 2 as the factors we should strictly look at. Now, we said we don't need that maximum duration of 90 days. Yes, if you are requesting to do a work for a particular time, the one who is taxing you to do the work, I want to test whether you are committed to do the work or not. I would rather give you a shorter period. Commit you. Reduce what you requested to have so that you can redouble your effort. We want this to end, if as possible, within 2 weeks. If I tax you to do the work and try to combat this within 2 weeks, that is our desire. That's why we give you half of the period you requested to test the commitment and concern of the government, to make sure they redouble their effort and try to combat this within 45 days. In fact, that could be on a high side. We have seen China. They've gone back to schools. That means they fought very hard to be able to contain. That's why they said life should be resuming. We look forward to our government to do that. But rather, to give them the maximum time, that laziness may be there. I would not actually say that the government was lazy, but I want to say to the government to be very serious and committed. And that's why we give them 45 days so that they can redouble their efforts within that period and able to contain it. Somebody asked us why the reason for the 45 days. This is the essence, why we reduce it.
time. Can you?
Fine. Yes. And again, when we realized the finance minister did mention that the government is looking into the compensation aspect of it, somebody said that at this juncture we should not be looking at it. We should be seen. We should be seen. That's what we were expecting. And if we are not seen, we want it to be seen. And that's why we reduce it to ensure that commitment is attached to. Madam Speaker, if I may go to the portion of the report, under 22, paragraph 22. Paragraph 22, the members observe that the number of passengers has been reduced to half, and no plans are in place currently for drivers. I think at this juncture, the concern is not only on the reduction of the fares. We are told that the fares are reduced, but on the regulation that I will come to, the passengers are reduced, but the fares are increased. If you reduce the passengers, the same time you reduce the fares, the drivers will be at a loss. What we recommended, I think that was a tail end where we are trying to edit. We added that in as much as the passengers are reduced, the fares should remain as it is, but they should not be reduced. I think that should be observed. The mover of the motion, please take note. Passengers are reduced, and then the price in the regulation, one of the regulations is reduced. That is not on a fair side to the drivers. And again, on 23, essential commodities emergency powers regulation. There, the observation, I think that is noted, should rather be reflected under the restriction on open markets and shopping areas emergency regulation. I want the mover to take note. That is to say, the committee was of the opinion that the commercial businesses should not be totally banned. Rather, the regulations should only restrict their closing and opening time. This should come under 24, the restriction on open markets, shopping areas, and emergency regulation 2020. On the recommendation 4, this has to do with the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs and the relevant line ministries to work with the Attorney General and Minister for Justice to come up with the compensatory mechanism to provide some relief package to the most vulnerable during the times of the restriction. I think here I beg the chairperson of the committee that I would like to seize this opportunity to share with the plenary our findings when we are engaging the hotel industry.
If you can just summarize it, because
very
of
well,
time.
very well. And what we discovered from the hotel industry, they were so much affected as far as the pandemic is concerned, and the industry is at standstill as at now. The entire hotels are closed, and then the medium businesses and then small businesses as well are also closed. One will note that the hotel industry contributes about 20.4% of the GDP. And then it is estimated that the revenue annually is estimated to 1.4 billion annually. The impact the pandemic created at the beginning of the season, it was estimated 289,000 arrivals supposed to be in the country, but so far as at now, they have 101,930. From October 2019 to April 2020, the hotel occupancy rate supposed to be 95% for the entire season, but this has drastically dropped to 49%. As of now, about $350 million the hotels are owing to the international tour operators. On this basis, the hotels are requesting, that's why we mentioned that they should be part of that compensatory listing. They are requesting that the immediate intervention from the government is highly needed. To address that, financing, taxes, employment support, and others, so that those issues can be addressed. These were the issues that we picked with the hotels, and then this will be forwarded with a memorandum to the ministry so that they can share with them and see how best to address the issue at the industry. Madam Speaker, we are aware that there's an emergency committee. If so, this emergency committee should include all the sectors that are seriously affected by the pandemic. I don't think that should only be limited to the health. Of course, I must mention that the hotel industry should be part of the emergency committee. Madam Speaker, comprehensive COVID national plan of action, if not in place, should be formulated, and this should be regularly reporting on the implementation of the plan of action. The regulations that we have, it's always said that ignorance of the law is no excuse. I think we'll be very fair with our local people. If these laws are existing and they don't know, if they should be offending, they are punished. Let's make the copies of these laws and make them available to all the alcalos. Media sensitization is not enough. Let them have these copies so that their people can know what actually are the laws and that they should follow. Media sensitization is not enough. Finally, support to local government authorities. They are doing extremely well. The government needs to support them in this crusade to fight against the pandemic. I thank you, Madam